Go ahead and just together for the first three paragraphs. So again, as we're gisting, we're keeping these things in mind because this is going to help us to better understand the ideas that are presented in the text. So again, why the Union troops have to move to Fort Sumter, why the Union has to surrender, how the North reacts to the Confederate attack, and how the Southern states respond to Lincoln's request. So remember these things. As I'm reading, you're going to see me highlighting important details. Again, that's what gisting is. You want to get the gist of the text, the most important piece of info that you can pull, and that is what we're going to take notes on. So I'm going to highlight those important ideas with yellow, and at the end of the video, I'll type out my gist. You're reading along with me. If you have any other notes like dates, settings, problem solutions, please copy them down on your blank sheet of paper. The fall of Fort Sumter. The last thing Major Robert Anderson wanted to do was to start a war. A Union man from Kentucky, he had taken command of his post at Fort Moultrie on Sullivan's Island in South Carolina's harbor in November 1860. So right now, I'm just going to highlight this. It's not our gist, but they are talking about Major Robert Anderson. He is one of the people over the Union's army. The coastal fort was designed to protect the mainland from attacks by sea, but after South Carolina seceded from the Union on December 20th, Anderson felt that his position was vulnerable to attack from the mainland. So he decided to put some distance between his men and the citizens of nearby Charleston. So I'm going to highlight this sentence here that talks about how Anderson wanted to move his troops because it was no longer a part of the Union's territory. I'm going to continue reading. During the night of December 26, 1860, Anderson moved his entire command of 85 men to nearby Fort Sumter, an unfinished island fortress located at the entrance to Charleston's harbor. South Carolina troops immediately confiscated Fort Moultrie along with other federal property, including rich stores of ammunition at Castle Pinckney and the Charleston Arsenal. So here we're seeing that after he moves away from that piece of land, the troops from South Carolina decide to take over it. Let's keep reading to paragraph 3. In Washington, D.C., South Carolina congressmen had asked President James Buchanan to remove Anderson and his troops. So the South is like, hey, we don't want Anderson there. The congressmen believed Buchanan had agreed to their demand, but he never communicated the order to Anderson. So remember, Anderson is over the Union troops that are in South Carolina right now, but the president at the time neglects to tell him that they're supposed to leave the land. So when the major moved his troops to a location that was easier to defend instead of evacuating the area, leaders in South Carolina felt betrayed. I'm going to highlight that sentence because that is super important to me. Oh my gosh. Here we go. So basically, because the president didn't tell Anderson that he had to leave completely, Anderson just moved to another piece of South Carolina's land, and the government there felt betrayed. Okay? So here are the things I'm going to write as my gist, for my gist. Anderson moved, and I'm going to make this bigger so that you all can see it. You're copying this down as I'm typing it because these are your notes that you're going to use when you get to your questions. Anderson moved his troops to Fort Sumter to avoid an attack. The leaders in South Carolina felt betrayed by Anderson's actions. That's the gist of what we read. So go ahead and copy these notes down. That's our first gist for this portion of the text. As you are finishing up your ideas, I want you to think about what's going to happen next. So remember, South Carolina is a Confederate state at the time, and there are Union troops staying there. What do you think is going to happen if South Carolina feels betrayed by the Union? For the next couple of paragraphs, until the end of the text actually, you're going to continue to gist by yourself. Remember that you're looking for important ideas, and those are the ideas that you want to focus on for your gist, along with the ideas that we have here for the PAT list. If you find these things in the PAT list, you will find the information that you need for your gist. If you are not understanding how to gist or you need more help with it, please call me, text me, or you can reach me at office hours on Tuesday and Wednesday.